Welcome back to Starting Point, and on this segment we will have a very special interview with Ibu Enik. Now, the topic of migrant workers is crucial given the significant role migrant workers play in various sectors in different countries, including Singapore. To delve deeper into this topic, we have invited a special guest. She is Enik Susilowati, the founder of Enik Employment Agency in Singapore, and through her agency, she has helped many migrant workers to obtain protection and their rights in the workplace. Welcome again, Bu Enik.
Good
To
morning,
Starting
Bu
Point.
Enik.
Thank you so much for coming here all the way from Singapore to be with us for the second time on Starting Point. Now,
Thank you.
Firstly,
Thank you so
Bu
much.
Enik, thank you. First of all, for our audiences who have not been introduced to you before, can you please explain to us again, refresh our memories, how did you start at the Enik Employment Agency and focus on migrant workers in Singapore?
Okay, thank you for the questions and pleasure of, all of you to invite me here once again. Enik Employment Agency started in 2020 on my own as a founder. However, I was in the industry from 1997, so it's almost 28 years.
Been a long time.
Yes, what inspired me is that I came from Indonesia, so how we can help the Indonesian migrant domestic worker in Singapore to sustain and well protected and do the right thing and be successful and be back to the country home. So that is the one that inspired me the most, from our agency perspective.
So what maybe people or viewers doesn't know yet, what are the challenges actually that face migrant workers there in Singapore?
They are very well protected. However, the problem right now that very significant is settling into the right family, because matching the right domestic helper and the family that they live in, make sure they are suitable. That is one. So settling into the residence and sustain and stay long for the term of the contract. Second now is social problem, because they are given a day off. On the Sunday, they can go out and spend their day off. So who they met outside, sometimes if they meet not the good friends, or they may spend the money or the time unwisely. And the thirdly, it's money laundering. In Singapore, they borrow the money from the unlicensed money lender, and then they get themselves into problem. Yeah,
Wow.
that is quite high now, the number. So these are the three areas that is concerning.
Now,
for domestic
Ibu Enik,
helper. Yeah.
then how does your employment agency make sure that all these migrant workers are, that their rights are protected and they are doing everything, in the right, proper way?
Our part start beginning with the selection, matching domestic helper and employer, the suitability, like for domestic helper that required to look after young children. As an agency, we have to ensure that she has the experience, she has what it takes to look after children. Second will be elderly care, like if our parents are aging, some with dementia, medical condition. So if the domestic helper is very knowledgeable and have the experience, have the passion and patience, to think passion and patience, so they will have the harmony working relationship. Thirdly, from our office, we follow up. The first 1 month, we have to make a phone call, a video call. We speak to the employer first. How does Siti or Yuli settling in? Is there anything that we could help to maybe settling in, whether she's adjusting well with the job scope, and then whether she's given enough food, whether she sleep enough at night. Sometimes night duty can be very challenging for domestic helper, like a nurse. And then after 3 months, then we also follow up again. And they are allowed to come to my office on Sunday. Our office open on Sunday.
Okay.
Like
see.
24/7, 24 hours,
to
7 days a
welcome
week.
them,
It's
Yes.
really nice.
Yes, following up and work closely. That as an agent, we have to be a good listener for both, from the employer perspective and the migrant domestic helper perspective.
So the migrant workers has a holiday on Sunday, but you don't have holiday at all?
We don't. Do you know, this to be the agency, it is not a job for me. It's a hobby.
Okay.
It is. I have a lot of passion for this, and then it's not it's not something that maybe not anybody
Maybe we
think
can say
that way.
that it's your calling.
It's
yeah.
my calling, exactly.
And I
Thank you.
believe you have helped so many migrant workers, thousands even in
Indeed.
Singapore.
Thank you.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Do you have any criteria about migrant workers from that you accept, or you accept any criteria and then you train them to be good?
We have to comply with the government regulation.
Okay.
The minimum age of migrant domestic helper is 23 years old of age, and then below 50 years old. And then minimum education is 8 years for Singapore. And of course, physically and mentally healthy. We do pre-medical examination back home before they fly in, be it from Indonesia, Philippines, or Myanmar. So, and we do a face-to-face interview and video call interview. You know, sometimes the profile, they may say, Ibu, I can do this, I can do that, but I need to ensure,
Of course,
practice due diligence, what is the required, because all our clients in Singapore, the employer entrusts the agent who has the good reputation and transparency.
You said also there was challenges, but can you tell us also success stories? Are there any success stories about our migrant workers there in Singapore?
Of course, I love these questions. Yeah.
You have plenty.
Yes, one of the plenty, her name is Suparini Wilda. She worked in this current employer, the Lee family, for 8 years.
Okay.
And she looked after 4 grown-up children and pets and a large detached house. And she's able to send her 2 schooling children, 21 years old son and 17 years old daughter. She built 4-hectare, she bought a 4-hectare plantation, kelapa sawit, in Palembang.
Okay.
She built a house, cost 240 million rupiah.
Wow.
Yeah, and in matter of fact, this morning I called her at 6 o'clock our time. I said,
Okay.
you know, I just get to know more detail. And she said, it's so inspiring, her story.
Wow.
And not so inspiring was the father passed on recently. And before he passed away, she told me that, Ibu, I bought all the batik, you know, she bought a set of family clothing and she wanted to fly to Bali with the family, but unfortunately, the dad passed on. But I told her, you know, keep up the spirit and then send the 2 kids until they finish S1, you know, the
bachelor degree.
Yeah, bachelor degree or beyond. Yeah, and
it's-
her salary is one of the highest, Kak Luisa and Mas Sesko. It's 2,000 Singapore dollars.
2000.
2000.
Yes, it's
Singapore
almost like
dollars.
22 millions now.
Per month?
Yes, per month.
Wow.
She's having 2 days off. Yeah, I
They
hope
get paid
someday I
really
can
well.
bring her
She
here.
gets paid really well.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you should bring her here.
Yes,
Okay.
of course, to inspire all our migrant domestic helpers.
And it's
there.
really great to hear that you actually maintain this connection, this communication with all your migrant workers.
We do.
Yeah, okay. Now, Ibu Enik, you've been in this business for very long.
Yes.
How does the government's policy towards migrant workers in Singapore have changed over the years? How has it been improved now?
Improved tremendously, if you ask me. Starting 2022, there is a compulsory day off, 1 a month day off that cannot be compensated. Even though the Ministry of Manpower given every Sunday, however, the 3 Sundays can be paid in lieu for not going out.
I see.
So starting 2022, 1 cannot be compensated. That is
So they
1.
need to have
Yes.
one day in a week,
1 day
so
off,
one
yeah.
Sunday.
Yes, that's
One
right.
day off, okay.
So what is the intention? What is the direction coming? To ensure that the welfare is taken care of, they can go out and maybe buy the food that they like to eat, you know, meet the friends or the family that work in Singapore, or visit us in our office if
Yeah,
there
meet
is
you,
sharing.
also meet you.
Exactly. Second, it is the increase of the medical coverage, the insurance, you know, medical insurance. All of them are covered by medical insurance. Usually in years back was only $20,000 per year annual claim. Right now, the Singapore government, Ministry of Manpower, increased to 60,000 minimum insurance coverage. So these are the steps that the government has really increased tremendously to look after. And also mental well-being. There is a workshop that conducted by the various departments, like even from police force, from NGOs, from school provider in Singapore. Make sure that, you know, they take the right path.
That's
they do the
really
right thing and
great.
positive thing.
You're
Yeah,
really taking good care of the migrant
We are-
workers
we are
in
trying.
Singapore. Now, you know, in the past, we sometimes hear stories about how the migrant workers were not treated well by their employers.
Yes.
How do you make sure that the migrant workers who are working there, that they can be open to you and
Yes.
tell you their struggles? You know, sometimes what happens is the migrant workers, the ladies, they are scared to tell what are their struggles or whether they've been mistreated. How do you make sure that that communication remains open at all times?
Our contact point, we have 24 hours a day. My phone is on 24 hours, even when I'm traveling. There were a time where I was sleeping, I was in London late last year, my phone rang, they forgot, they may not know that where I was. So they have the access to my phone and my assistant phone at all time. And then on Sunday, they can call, and they're allowed to use mobile phone, Kak Luisa and Mas Sesko. Maybe during morning and lunchtime and dinner time, they have what it takes to just update me. You know, good afternoon, ma'am. You know, I facing this 1, 2, 3. And then as an agency, we have to be in the middle between the bridge between the domestic helper and the employer. For me, we are not pro domestic helper or the employer. We are always in the center to settle or to solve any issue arises. You know, that is what I believe we can do. And we have been doing that. And I hope someday you can interview maybe on virtual with all our migrant domestic
That's a
helpers
good
from
idea.
our
That's a good
office.
idea.
Yeah.
Of course.
We
I
do a
was-
double check.
Yeah, I'm so always I'm inspired by their story.
Yeah, we heard that all of the things that's going on there. It's so fortunate, but is there any room of improvement about what's going on or the policies from the Singaporean government? Is there a room for
What
you
else
think?
can be
What else can
done,
improved?
or what is there that you are planning to push for the government's policy to make it even better for the migrant workers?
The government policy has done tremendously. It's amazing. From our part, from agency and maybe employer in Singapore, is how can this materialize? How can all the policy being applied and followed? Like having a rest day and then they upskill all domestic helper, the government has support that and they are heavily subsidized. You know, the school, Mas Sesko and Kak Luisa, baking classes, beauty classes, even they have a clubhouse, a fast clubhouse that funded by the Ministry of Manpower. They have gym, they have yoga classes.
That's amazing.
Yes, and then recently I was invited by the Dia Gayatri to witness the graduation of, you know, the wedding makeup classes, the Indonesian wedding makeup classes. So all these migrant domestic helper, when they go back to Indonesia, they can start a business and open maybe a WO, wedding organization where, you know.
And do they have to pay anything to attend these classes?
Very minimum, is heavily subsidized. So these are something that is really, really good for them to make sure the off day are very useful for something to upskill themselves.
And how do you train the migrant workers there? Do you have like a set of a basic training for them before they start working, or how does it work?
Yes, first thing is language. Back home in Indonesia, the training school have to teach them basic 1, 2, 3, like item, a basic conversation. Because not all of them are just graduate or, you know, bachelor. Some only secondary school or high school, and some already married and, you know, be a housewife or work in different background. So I think ability to pick up language is very important, and the determination that, okay, this is my decision to go to Singapore and I'm going to make it. And of course, the family support, the back home.
Has there been any stories where they started working for? I'm sure there are plenty. Like they started working for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and then they're like, "No, Ibu Enik, I cannot do this. I cannot handle this." And has that ever happened? And how do you encourage them to keep pursuing for their, for their work and to keep going for what they dream for?
Okay. Not many as compared to in the 90s. In 1995, 97, a lot of homesickness. Actually, the greatest challenge for employment agency if the helper say, I want to go home, I miss my family. But right now, because the communication is so smooth, we have WhatsApp video call, they have WeChat, they have Facebook platform where they can chat the family. Communication is not an issue. So the sustainability is higher. But coming back to your questions, normally I go deeper into what is the cause. For example, or somebody is ill at home and we require somebody. I said, if possible, is there any way you can send money so your family can bring your parent to see a doctor? Rather than you fly all the way and spend the ticket, two-way ticket, and still have to spend for medical bill. So usually we facilitate that problem because what they need is someone to hear the problem and help to solve the problem. So that is, be a good listener and giving the best advice.
Yeah, you said that about the training, about the first thing is the language. And
Yes.
then, can you repeat us, after that, how do your agency make the best appropriate placement for them and the residents there? How can you
How do you
ensure
match
that?
them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
match them.
Understanding the job scope from the employer perspective. Usually they send us the list for baby childcare, elderly or general housework, or maybe looking after pets, or even looking after a big mansion or maybe high-rise apartment. How can we have the right match of the suitable candidates? So they have a profile, and then we will match them, and then we have a video calls, three-way calls from the employer and migrant domestic worker and
agency.
myself. Yes. Usually in between, they will find out that, wow, you can speak Mandarin. That is beyond my expectation.
Really?
Yes, because they are amazing. They are like raw diamond. You know, it is super talent that we have yet to discover until they go to Singapore. There's many domestic helper that they have the ability to pick up the language and the cooking skill, and you know they speak better English than anyone that you know we can think of sometimes.
Yeah, what would be the top like 3 skills that
Yes.
that you know the employers are seeking for
Yes.
from the migrant workers?
The highest is baby childcare.
Oh,
Baby
baby
childcare,
childcare. I
You
see.
know, because in Singapore, most of the madam and sir are working class family. So, but they do have CCTV for the domestic helper to run the household and look after to ensure communication and what the expectation is met. And second will be looking after elderly. Looking after elderly, we need somebody who has the experience in the Singapore,
Yeah.
maybe with elderly care also.
Yeah.
Thirdly will be cooking and general housework.
Cooking.
Yeah.
So baby care and then elderly,
Elderly
and
and then
cooking.
cooking.
Well, cooking we cannot ask for Indonesian because it's the best. I think our cooking, our food is the best. So I think it will be the best from Indonesia.
Yes, that's right.
And how about the? Is there maybe? Well, things are improving there, but if there is a case of maybe abuse or maybe violence, how do you take care of these cases?
Very seldom coming from our office, but we have the Indonesian Embassy, we have the NGO, CDE or FAS. We are the bridge of all these issues. Be a good listener. Usually we listen to the both side and what is required amicably. Sometimes, for example, looking after elderly with dementia,
Okay.
how can we practice fairness when the elderly is not even aware? For example, she called her with names, some negative names towards migrant domestic helper, and we have to seek the understanding from migrant domestic helper to have high level of understanding that what she say, what she do is not
on
something
purpose, maybe,
not on
yeah.
purpose, exactly. So if physical abuse, for example, then we have to get the relevant authority to go deeper into what is who is at fault and all that. But as an agency, we listen both sides, and then we try to settle. If cannot, then we have to go to maybe embassy. But very rare, because the domestic helper, the high level of passion is there, and the employer normally is more humbly, can you please understand the elderly is like this, you know? So yeah.
Now, Ibu Enik, as your agency, what kind of other agency or other things that you are sponsoring at the moment?
Recently, last Sunday we have Halal Bihalal, a little bit late, you know, the Hari Raya
Yeah,
Halal
Idul Fitri,
Bihalal. We
huh?
invite 150 migrant domestic helper, diplomats from Indonesian embassy, and business partners like from the cargo business, from remittance company, other agency too. We invite. These are a door for them to open that so that they can feel at home. And then we sponsor beauty pageant for domestic helper and sports competition badminton,
I see.
ping pong, and then
I wonder how they have all the time to do all these
They
other
do.
events when
They
they're
do.
working there full time too.
yes.
In one day, that it's done in one day, all of that?
For badminton, yeah, they try to do it one
Okay.
day.
Okay.
What's the
Because
purpose of this, Bu Eni?
The purpose is that they have the fair chance to show their talent. You know, some of them is
They have
even
other talents.
correct.
Yeah.
Some of them even in their school when they're high school, their school team.
Okay.
So this is bringing back that working at the same time. There is a channel for them to do their hobbies positively and get themselves healthy. And then for beauty pageant, it is more on when she go back to Indonesia, she know what to do. You know, Indonesian makeup, the Javanese makeup.
Wow.
Yes.
So you're really trying to make sure that they're happy to be in Singapore.
Yes.
And to be working in Singapore.
Yes.
Ibu Enik, I'm just wondering, how do you get more migrant workers to go to Singapore to work? How do you get them to get more employment here?
Do you know? I believe many social media
Okay.
to ensure, you know, for the networking to attract people to work. But you know, the best advertisement is word of mouth,
Oh,
where
that's
they can
right.
hear from their own friends. Why Ibu Enik? Why Enik Employment Agency? Actually, I don't have to say that I'm the greatest agency in Singapore, but they can testimony.
I see.
Domestic helper can say, you know, Kak Luisa and Mas Sesko, the highest number is actually from another agency joining my agency in Singapore. They call it transfer migrant domestic helper. That means they are on the job, they finish their contract, and they can ask permission from the current employer. Madam, sir, I don't wish to go home. I want to change another employer through an employment
Right.
agency.
Okay.
But again, I used to tell them, please leave a good name behind to ensure the employer get a replacement, one out, one in. Do not say, okay, I want to go. But there is a 30 days grace where they can ask permission to transfer.
And we know that you are a successful entrepreneur.
I'm humbled by that.
Yeah. And how about your family? How does your family support this? Your activity all day?
I mean, you have your phone available to be
Yeah, to
called by
all the
your
migrant
migrant
workers.
workers.
I have two phones. Thank you for the question, Francesco. I have two boys, right now 17 and 15 years old, in junior college, we call it, the elder one, taking law management. Second one is secondary 3. And I have supportive family. My husband, we are doing different things. He's doing other type of business and balancing work-life balance. You know, it's a quality time. And I have two assistants that is also very supportive. I'm so blessed. I'm counting my blessing.
Wow.
Yeah, work-life balance.
That's good.
I really like listening to Ibu Enik
thank
every time you
you.
come here, because every time you talk to us about, you know, your employment agency, what you do, and it's really, I mean, it's purely just listening to you. I can feel that you're very passionate in what you do, and it's more
am.
like it's more like really just for the passion of helping other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt a positive vibe from you because like, you're not just doing business, but it's like a calling for you to help us, same Indonesian all around the world. Yeah. Thank
Yes.
you very much, Bu Eni Susulawati. We're limited by time. Actually, want to speak maybe for many hours, but we're limited by time. So thank you very much for your time
Pleasure is
in
mine.
your hectic schedule.
Yes.
You went from Singapore here just for us, is it?
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
like that?
Yes.
And we'll
Thank
be
you for
happy to
having
have
me.
you back again next time for more
Absolutely.
chats.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you, Bu Eni.
And that ends our dialogue today at Starting Point. Thank you so much for watching us on Starting Point for our special dialogue today. And we'll see you again next time. I'm Luisa Kusnandar.
And I'm Sesko Satrio. Until next time, and goodbye.
Bye. Have a good day.